So people always talk about generations. They use different terms like millennials and Gen Z all the time. And I'll be honest, I always forget who's who and what's what. I don't even know what I am half the time. So here is the official chart so you can look and everybody pick what you are. Okay, everybody figure out what category they're in before we continue here. Everybody shout out your generation in the comment section here. Do I have a lost generation person? Do I have a person that's at least 125 years old in the chat with me? Okay, probably not. But the reason I'm showing this, the reason I'm talking about generations here is we are talking about the second from the top there, the Gen Z, 1997 to 2012 birth date. They quite literally use the term Zoomers. I actually didn't know that was an official term. I thought that was just a meme. So yeah, we're talking about the Zoomers, okay? People that look like this, if we are to believe all memes. Now, I'm not talking about Gen Z just to poke fun at them here. It's actually because of this article right here. It looks like Gen Z is cutting back on video game purchases by a lot. Now, this was surprisingly enough reported about a month and a half ago, but this has been recently gaining a lot of traction. I don't know why, but this is all coming from a report by Circana. I've talked about them a lot. They collect data and they make these reports quite a lot. So it says Circana found both online and retail purchases among ages 18 to 24 dropped by 13% when looking at January to April 2025 and comparing it to January to April 2024. And comparing this 2025 data to all of 2024, it looks like spending is down nearly 25%. This is again for the 18 to 24 age category. Now it says while purchases for accessories, small appliances, tech, and total general merch had all dropped with young adults, it was actually video gaming purchases that took the lead in the drop compared to the previous year. Now I do want to point out Gen Z is made up of a 15-year time span, but they are only looking at people ages 18 to 24. That's a 6-year time span, and I don't know why they narrowed this just to the 18 to 24. It looks like people as young as 13 are still Gen Z, so maybe they just didn't want to do this study on kids. They just wanted to do it on adults, see what their purchases are like. And it looks like it is because of those adult problems that purchasing is down. So it says reporter Rachel Wolf concluded that contributing factors to drops in spending included a difficult job market, student loans, and a particularly high credit card delinquency rate among those aged 18 to 29. So yeah, I don't know what's going on with Zoomers exactly, but their purchasing power, it looks like, is a lot less maybe compared to other generations when they were in that same age category. You could say this has something to do with the Gen Z, I don't know, culture, the way that the Zoomers are, but it could also just be for outside factors. It could be due to the economy, high cost of living, that kind of thing. So anyway, there is a guy by the name of Matt Piscatella. I've talked about him before when talking about Circana. I think he's like the head honcho at Circana because every time I talk about Circana, he is always making these posts. So he threw out this post on Blue Sky. All of this stuff is just stuff I've already talked about, but he did show this chart right here. This is from the actual Circana report, and it shows exactly what was reported by Vice, that video game spending is among the highest drop when compared to everything else with Zoomers. Accessories, small appliances, housewares, tech, sports equipment, furniture, I mean anything that you look at does not really compare to video game spending and the decrease that saw over the past year. So yes, as for all of the reasons why, like I said, we can kind of speculate on why this is, but this is not just bad for Zoomers. I think overall this is really bad for not just the gaming ecosystem and the gaming economy, but really specifically game developers, game publishers, people that make money on making games. If overall spending goes down, then that's very bad for them. I've always thought with the Zoomers, the amount of money they spend on video games never has gone down. I thought it was just how they spend money. Like I thought it was just they're throwing more cash at microtransactions and less at boxed games. But it turns out that's really not true. It has decreased by a whopping 25% in just the last year, and unfortunately, it very well could continue to decrease.